Most beginners spend months, years learning Chinese, but they still can't hold a simple conversation. The truth is, it doesn't to be that way. In this video, I'm going to show you a smarter, step-by-step plan to help you to speak Chinese from literally zero to have real conversation in just 90 days. If you watch this video all the way to the end, you will get a bonus. I will show you the secret of how to create 10, 20, or even 30 sentences, all from one simple sentence pattern. Now, let's dive into it. So I have break down into 3 simple steps of how you can speak Chinese in just 90 days. The first step is you need to have a clear goal and a simple plan. Learning Chinese is like driving a car. Without a goal, it's like you're driving without a destination. And also, just having a goal is not enough because a goal without a plan is just a wish. So the first things you need to do, you need to ask yourself, why do I want to learn Chinese? Knowing your why is super important because when things get tough, and it will, they are the reason that keep you going on. So once you know your goal, the next step you need to do is to create a plan. But before create your plan and schedule, here is a key idea. Learning Chinese is like working out. You don't build muscle by going to the gym 2 hours once a week and expecting your muscle is gonna grow. But if you exercise 15 minutes a day constantly, you will get stronger over time. So it's the same thing of learning Chinese. Consistency is more important than intensity. Here is another important tip for making a plan. Build a habit, not just a schedule. Don't say, I will learn Chinese every single day from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Because what if the dinner runs late? Are you gonna push that time or are you just gonna give up? Instead, you do things like this. I will learn Chinese right after I finish washing dishes. Because in that case, you will literally create a habit, a routine, the things that you will not skip. And this will stick no matter what time it is. The first step won't take you long, it only takes you 10 to 15 minutes to set your goal and plan. Once you have direction, staying consistent is much easier. Before we move into the second step, there's another concept that you need to know. So what makes a real conversation possible? It's not a silly question, it's actually a key to speak any language. So a good conversation has 2 major parts. Number 1 is to understand others, which means good listening skill. And number 2 is to be understood, which means you need to have good pronunciation. If either of these parts fail, the conversation stops. If you mispronounce the words, people may not understand you, and this could feel really frustrating. But if people understand you of every single word that you say, even as a beginner, then your confidence will be boosted, and this will give you more motivation to study and speak. And this will create a positive cycle. Therefore, the second step is to fully master pronunciation. Think of pronunciation like the foundation of the house. If the foundation is not strong enough, the whole house will collapse. In the 90-day plan, 45 days should be all focused on pronunciation. Yes, you heard me right. Half of the time you need to spend to fully focus on the pronunciation. So here's how it's gonna work. First of all, the first 10 days you need to focus on the tone. Use these 10 days to get familiar with the Chinese major 4 tones. You will train your ear to recognize those sounds and train your muscle to say those tones. Trust me, if you skip this part, then you will have trouble in the future. Once you understand Chinese major 4 tones, then the next step is spend the next 20 days focused on pinyin. So pinyin is like an alphabet system of Chinese. And the fact is, half of the alphabet you already know how to say, as long as you learn English. But there are like 10 to 12 tricky sounds that does not exist in English that will require special tongue and mouth position to pronounce them. Therefore, in that 20 days, you need to spend quite a long time to focus on pronouncing those tricky sounds as well. And this is where we're gonna slow down and get things right. Okay, once you learn all the pinyin, the next 15 days is to practice tone pair. Most of the Chinese word has two characters, which means two tones. Even though you can say the tone individually well, saying in pair could be really challenging. There's one more important thing during this 45 days. You need to find a native speaker tutor because pronunciation is hard to fix on your own. Even though you think you're saying them right, you might not be. That's why you need a tutor, someone trained to correct your mistake and give you guidance. And not just any random tutor. You need a good one that knows how to correct you and explain pronunciation in a really good way. By the end of 45 days, your ear will be trained to recognize those sounds, and your mouth and tongue will be trained to pronounce those sounds correctly. In other words, you will be able to speak any Chinese words or sentence if pinyin is provided for you to see. So basically, this 45 days builds a strong foundation for speaking and listening. However, know how to speak Chinese according to the pinyin doesn't mean you can have a conversation. So that's gonna take us into step number 3. So step number 3 is to learn by combining words, grammar, sentence patterns all in one together. Some students might ask, now you spend 45 days just learn pronunciation. Can we actually learn conversation literally just within 45 days? The answer is yes, you can. So most learners still believe the good way of learning Chinese is to learn the words first and then learn the grammar. And then later they learn how to build the sentence, which it will take a long time. So here we're gonna do things differently. So if you wanted to have conversation in 45 days, you need to have a good structured course that combine grammar, words, sentence pattern, all in each lesson. So why is that? Because in order to make your 10, 20, or 30 sentence, you need to understand the grammar behind the sentence pattern. And in order to make those sentences, you will need those words to fill the sentence too. Some students might scared of the grammar, but grammar isn't that scary or complicated. It is just a tool to help you to understand how the sentence is formed. Once you get it, create your own sentence become much easier. So let me show you a quick example. Here is a sentence pattern. Somebody, 是, identity. So the grammar here is to explain what 是 is. So 是 in a lot of Chinese course, the teacher will tell you is MREs, but it's way complicated than that. Because in English, the MREs, the way of using it is like this big. But in Chinese, the way of using MREs is literally this big. What does that mean? It means in English, we can use MREs in front of adjective, while Chinese don't do that. We only use MREs to connect subject to identity. So what does identity mean? For example, in this sentence pattern, identity means jobs or nationality. So now you know what needs to fill in the gap. For example, subject, which is somebody, we can fill any of the words related to that. For example, somebody could be 我, which is I, 你, which is you, 他, which is him or she or it. Or we can also fill in with 爸爸, which is dad, or 妈妈, which is mom. So now we learn 5 words that can fill in into the gap for somebody. And for the identity, as we mentioned earlier, it could be nationality or jobs. So we can fill in some words like that. For example, 中国人, which is Chinese, 美国人, which is American, 英国人, which is British, 医生, which is doctor, 老师, which is teacher. And now we're filling literally 5 words in there as well. And now you can create literally as many sentences as you want. So you can say 我是中国人 or 他是美国人 or 妈妈是医生 or 爸爸 是老师。Did you see that? So in total, you literally can create 25 sentences yourself as long as you know this sentence pattern. Now, let's add a small change. Let's put a ma at the end of this sentence, so it will become like this. Somebody, 是, identity, ma. So when we put ma at the end of this sentence pattern, it will literally turn that sentence into a yes or no question. So earlier the sentence that we formed, we literally can turn into a yes and no question. For example, we can create a sentence like this. 你妈妈是医生吗? That means, is your mom doctor? 你爸爸是老师吗? That means, is your dad a teacher? So you see, now you can even create 25 yes and no question. And now, since you learned these two sentence patterns, you can literally build a mini conversation yourself. For example, 你妈妈是医生吗? You can answer, 我妈妈是医生. Or you can create another mini conversation. 你是中国人吗? Then you can answer, 我是中国人. See what just happened? I literally teach you grammar, words, sentence pattern all in one go. Some people think that might be cheating, but it's actually a smart and efficient way to learn. By practicing 50 sentences, you not only just memorizing the words, you also understand the grammar behind the sentence pattern. And you learn how to build the conversation naturally. And we literally just use a very simple sentence pattern as example. Once you start to learning more and long and complicated sentence, you will see how sentence pattern will make your learning journey a lot easier. Now that you've seen how sentence pattern help you to form conversation, imagine this. If you learn one sentence pattern in one day, so in 45 days, you will learn 45 sentence pattern. And if just 2 mini sentence pattern can create a mini conversation just like what we did, and it takes 10 to 15 seconds, then 45 sentence pattern will give you a 5.5 minutes conversation. But even if we put this conversation aside, you literally can form 900 sentences just by learning 45 sentence pattern. And by practicing this way, you will speak more clearly and naturally. You wouldn't have trouble forming the sentence and memorizing the words. So that's the power of learning sentence pattern, grammar, words all in one go. It's simple, it's fast, and it's effective. So during those 45 days of learning how to have a conversation, here's another tips I give it to you. In the real life, real conversation, people will ask a lot about you. So while you're learning, learn the words that's related to you and to your life. For example, your nationality, your job, your family member. So focus on practicing things about yourself, about your family. That makes learning faster, easier, and more enjoyable. So this is the exact method that I teach in my program, Mandarin Accelerator for Beginners. It is designed for busy people. You literally only learn 15 minutes a day. So within 3 months, we'll be able to hold a 5 to 10 minutes conversation. Just a heads up, spots are limited because I only open 10 spots every 3 months. If you're interested, please look at the description and click the link below for the application. So, in today's video, which one of those tips that I mentioned about helped you the most? Please leave a comment below to let me know. If you find this video helpful, please do me a favor, click the like and subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any single episode in the future. So, thank you very much for watching this episode, and I will see you next time.